You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
You take a week off to be sick, and like all hell breaks loose. Seriously, people, what is going on? Well, we'll try to catch up here on the Dan Wickline Show. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I am your host. Me. I used to do that joke. Stopped doing that joke because I started running out of ideas, giving a different name each week. But today we're going to try to catch up on all the stuff that happened last week. And once we do that, then we will talk about the first 4 episodes of The Boys, which... wow. Yeah. That first 10 minutes. Everyone's talking about that, huh? All right. So there has just been, a literal ton of news. And it's hard to even comprehend where to begin with some of it. You've got, Warner Brothers executives are saying that The Flash may be one of the best movies they've ever made. And you have reports that Ezra Miller has gone missing with an 18-year-old girl who he probably groomed, and that the police are looking for him, or that people are looking for him to serve. It's like, wait, what? And there's tons of other reports too. There's a report now that Michael Keaton will be appearing in the Aquaman movie, but we're not sure if Amber Heard is going to appear in the Aquaman movie. It's crazy. Kyle says, "Are you angry I'm not there? I missed something. I'll come back. I just like the being first." That's Matthew. Mark says, "Happy Tuesday, Dan. What's up with the Thunderbolts?" That's another one. Thunderbolts. Oh, my God. And Kyle says, "I can't talk about The Boys, but if you wanted to spend the whole episode 110 of Sandman, let me know." Kyle, we'll get to Sandman, but dude, it was a quick trailer. It was a good trailer, and it has the right tone and stuff, but, when we get a little closer to it debuting, then we're going to talk the hell out of it. But yeah, we got the Sandman trailer. We got Black Adam trailer. There's more stuff for the Thor. It's absolutely crazy. But let's talk about what Mark brought up. Thunderbolts. There was a report from it's funny. I look at the websites out there that do these kind of reporting, and there's kind of 2 tiers for me. There are the guys that seem to just throw everything out there. Boom, 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 boom. Just any story they can get up there. Some of them are true. Some of them aren't. Some of them sound like they were completely made up. And then you have certain sources that you just go, well, that's obviously true. Deadline. Variety. The Hollywood Reporter. Those are the sources that, when they come from that place, you go, well, you can bank on that. That's happening. It may twist a little bit. They may have like part of it right, but there's enough there that they don't run with something unless they know it's accurate. So the fact that there's a report that a director has been hired to make a Thunderbolts movie, and not a Thunderbolts series or anything like that, but a Thunderbolts movie. I think it was Deadline that reported it. And that certain actors have been asked by Marvel to keep their summer open. That's huge. We know the script is being done by the guy that wrote the script for Black Widow. And some of the names being bullied about or bantered about. Tim Roth coming back as Emil Blonsky or the Abomination. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, the Black Widow. Taskmaster is another character they're talking about. Ava Starr, the Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Daniel Bruhl's character of Helmut Zemo. There's talk that maybe the Winter Soldier. But I wonder about that one, because it really comes down to where they want to go with Thunderbolts. I mean, the first thing, you ask anybody who are the Thunderbolts, and a lot of people will tell you they're Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. And at one point they were. They didn't start that way. But they kind of took that role for a short time. Yeah, Kyle, the guy who wrote Black Widow, not good news. I don't know. That could have been a good script. There was just some... I have a feeling that when you start with what script you start with and what you end with aren't necessarily the same thing. I think there was a lot of great family moments in that script. I think there was a lot of good humor beats, a lot of interesting stuff. But I think there were some twists and turns. Like, I don't necessarily think that Alexi's, or is it Alexi's daughter? I don't think that was necessarily the twist they had planned. I think that came in later. So, yeah. Sam Elliott back for Thunderbolt Ross. See, I don't think they'd do that. I think we've had Thunderbolt. If anything, well, let me get to what I was thinking. So the Thunderbolts were basically, the Thunderbolts were created shortly after Marvel took this huge gamble and decided to go back to some of the Image founders and have them kind of take over certain major characters like the Avengers and Fantastic Four, Captain America. Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, I think Mark Silvestri. It was an interesting experiment. It didn't go very well. And they explained it through Franklin Richards, but it left an Earth without any of those characters. To fill that void came the Thunderbolts. But this wasn't a team of, government agency team using villains to do things. This was led by Baron Zemo and a bunch of villains posing as new heroes. They were all supposed to be new heroes, so there was no, bomb in the neck, get time off, you serve your sentence type thing. This was a bunch of heroes, or a bunch of villains posing as heroes to basically work the bigger con. Clever. Really neat idea. Is that how Marvel's going to use it? Maybe? I don't know. We've got a lot of interesting characters. They could do something where they kind of show up and they claim to be the replacement for the Avengers. They could even do the Dark Avengers story, but call themselves Thunderbolts because it makes more sense. And that's when a group of villains took over as the Avengers. They posed as the actual Avengers. I don't necessarily think they're going to do that either. But this sounds like it may be the government putting together a team of less than exemplary heroes, or characters with questionable backgrounds. Because if you look at it, the characters we're talking about aren't necessarily villains. You have, Ghost was used as an assassin for the government, and then she went out and tried to help herself. Blonsky was a soldier for the government and was working under government orders when he went off the rails. Yelena Belova is a Russian agent. It's not like we're taking... Baron Zemo may be the only one who is actually a bad guy. And not drifted into being a bad person. So it is possible that the government is trying to reimagine these people as heroes and put them back in the spotlight to fill in for a missing Avengers team. Because at this point, we don't know if there is an Avengers team. I mean, we talk about it. We got the little group that got together at the end of Shang-Chi. But, hey, Kenneth, how you doing? So there really isn't an out-and-out Avengers. We haven't, when Moon Knight was having his battle, the Avengers didn't show up, even afterwards, like the end of Peacemaker. So it's possible that things are going to, that they might go that direction too. So really, all we know is that they're using the name Thunderbolts, and they're looking at these characters who don't necessarily have a current home. Sam Wilson, Captain America, is going to get his own movie. Well, what does that mean for Bucky? Is he in it? Is it another movie with him in it, or will he end up over here? Will we get, that's the thing that I think is interesting, is that, Yelena Belova isn't necessarily an evil character. So I think describing it as the Marvel Suicide Squad, which was one of the incarnations of the series became, but it has never been the beginning of it or really where they focused. Josh says, Zemo did a cute little dance in the show, so it feels like fans forgave him for trying to get the Avengers to kill each other. Yeah. Yeah, so, it might just be Redemption Island for characters. If Thunderbolt Ross isn't in a movie about a team named after him, I will absolutely lose it. Well, what if it's a team that he was starting to put together and died, and they named it after him in honor? Because William Hurt passed away. So you can't really have him in it. And Marvel doesn't do a whole lot of recasting anymore. They did a little bit in the beginning, but yeah, Kyle's going to lose it anyway. That's just Kyle's thing. But so yeah, it's kind of interesting on Thunderbolts, because I think what we'll get is a loose idea of the concept and the name. I don't think we're going to get. This could be a team Zemo puts together, but Zemo's against all heroes. So I don't even see why Zemo would be part of this team. I mean, yes, he was very popular in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and, but it doesn't make sense for him unless this team was to take out all other heroes. Because that's all he wanted to do. That was his goal. The whole idea of somebody having superpowers, that would totally go against it. As long as Zack Snyder stays away from directing it, I'm good. Wow. Imagine Zack Snyder coming over to the MCU. That would be interesting. An appropriate replacement as if Hellhound Dog of Thunder led them. Yeah, my gut tells me we're more likely to get a team of characters that need redemption. It'll be a redemption arc. So I think the people who are excited for Thunderbolts need to kind of check what it is they're excited about. What it is they think they're going to see. Because it may not be what you think you're going to get. So, all right. Let's go ahead and take our first break, and we'll come back. We'll cover a little bit more of the latest news, and then we'll get into the first 4 episodes of The Boys. We'll be right back.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the Experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox. Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Still the best intro music. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Kyle says, then don't call it the Thunderbolts. So, Kyle, you on cam? Or are you just out there drifting? I want Dan to write a comic book movie, in all his free time. I would love to write a comic book movie. There's a few characters out there that I would have a lot of fun with. Love to do a movie about the Question. But, all right. Kyle is ASK. I was going to have him come on and chat a little about Sandman if he wanted. But, all right, let's see. What are some of the other news stories that popped up? Thank you, Sean. Still kind of struggling, but all right. Kyle will come on in about 5 minutes. We'll talk a few minutes about Sandman. The Black Adam trailer came out, and I enjoyed the trailer. And I spent a big chunk of time watching it over and over. And I think it looks cool. Definitely tonally very different than Shazam, which it ties to, which is going to be interesting. But my biggest question, and I'm having a hard time with, is, well, where the hell are Captain Fate's eyes? I don't know why his face mask has no eye slots. It seems very strange to me. And there's a lot of things you can change on characters. You know, they're changing up Hawkman's pants from green to red, and they've got Cyclone in there, and they've got Atom Smasher, stuff like that. Great. I honestly, the number one reason I'm even interested in that movie is Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. Hands down. I'm not a huge Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan. And I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying you hire Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to be Dwayne Johnson. I mean, that's it. You get what you pay for when you get him. Now, could he prove me wrong that he could be much more emotional, much more depth that this character is going to have the potential for? Absolutely. But so far I haven't seen it. So, yeah. So for me, what sold me on it was Pierce Brosnan. We're going to take Remington Steele or James Bond and make him one of the coolest characters in the DC universe. I'm in, It's all I needed. Plus, I like Aldous Hodge. I think he's going to make a good Hawkman. So really, those two characters. I'm more there for Dr. Fate and Hawkman than I am for anything else. Black Adam's never been a character that I really connected with, but then again, I never really connected with any of the Marvel family. Shazam was a strange character to me. Always felt like just a Superman ripoff, which basically he was. One comic company wanted to copy the success of Superman, and they made Captain Marvel. And that company, another company, decided Captain Marvel is super successful. We'll copy that and made Miracle Man or Marvel Man. I mean, it just down the line. So, but I never really liked the character. So it was strange for me to see the movie, but I liked the movie. It was a good movie. I didn't hate it. There are some characters in comics that I'm just not a fan of. Doesn't mean that I think the movies are bad. I don't get excited for these characters. And Black Adam and just is one that never connected for me. So could have cared less about this movie. And what got my interest was Pierce Brosnan. So, let's see. Jay says, I love The Rock, but Ferrantar, who was in Star Trek movie as Captain Robow, would have been my pick for Black Adam. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Would you be more excited for a Foxy Shazam movie? I don't get excited for the Shazam movies. Sean says Shazam is my favorite movie in the DCEU. I liked the Shazam movie. It was a lot of fun. There's Kyle. You're muted.
Foxy Shazam was the band that sang the Peacemaker theme.
No, it wasn't.
Pretty sure it was.
Nope.
Or at least they have the cover that's going around the TikTok right now.
What was the name of the band that did it? It's oh, damn you, Kyle.
Upon further review, it was
Wigwam.
they have a cover of the song.
Yeah, Wigwam was the band. Thank you.
Nice. They have a cover.
Yeah. All right,
And
Kyle.
it's going viral.
You're up, so let's talk. What has got you excited about Sandman?
Well, the fact that what doesn't have me excited about Sandman? Let's be real. But the fact that we get to see the Corinthian on TV is going to be great. A guy with mouths for eyes. Does it get any better than that? A serial killer convention? You know, I mean, we're going to get all of the best things of Sandman, which is the darkness, but also the realistic kind of emotional parts of Sandman, right? Everything I saw in that trailer was the correct emotional tone, the correct writing, the correct feel of the comics. And the language used for the most part, was directly lifted from the comics. So all of these years I've been saying, be the comics or be nothing. And we finally have a Shazam, or I said Shazam, because now I'm obsessed, now my brain is stuck on Shazam. So, but we finally have a Sandman that is going to do that in a huge way. They have made some changes, and I'm, cautiously optimistic about those changes. But because Neil Gaiman, who wrote Sandman, is the one making the changes for the showrunner, it feels like it's going to be okay.
Okay.
And I was thinking about it, and when we were talking about the Thunderbolts thing earlier, if they brought the original creative team on Thunderbolts in and said, "Hey, we want to change this, 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 and this. Help us do that," I would feel better about it than just having a Thunderbolts story that's not the Thunderbolts.
But to separate those two, they're adapting a specific part of the Sandman story.
Correct.
Thunderbolts have had multiple iterations that have all been very different from each other.
And I know nothing like what you just talked about with Thunderbolts. Literally all I know about Thunderbolts. Like, about the movie. I know all kinds of stuff about the comics. But I don't watch trailers. I don't really pay attention to that stuff intentionally. So what you just talked about is all I know. So if you're going to make a Thunderbolts movie and you're going to change stuff, I trust the creator of a property more than I do fan opinions or anybody else, any other writer. Like, if you're gonna do Thunderbolts, you need to bring in those original creators. So the fact that Neil Gaiman is working on Sandman means that any changes made are still coming from the mind of Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
He's saying, you know what, that makes sense for this reason, or I like the way that was going, or gee, I wish I'd have thought of that when I wrote it the first time.
But see,
I'm
going to agree with you when it comes to an individual. When you're doing Miss Marvel, you bring in, or like the editor, I can't remember her name, who is working with the series. Who was the one who co-created. So that makes sense. When they did Captain America, they couldn't bring in, Simon and Kirby.
Yeah, you can't bring in Simon and Kirby, no.
But
if you're going to do Al Ewing's Captain America run as a Captain America movie, you need to bring in Al Ewing.
But when you do something like the Thunderbolts, but you're not claiming to do that run. Thunderbolts is a team name. It's like doing the Avengers. If you're not saying, "Oh, we're going to do this particular Avengers run," you're just taking the name the Avengers, putting the team together. Is it the same thing?
Then you need to bring in Kurt Busiek. Like, Simple as that. He created them. Let him be the point person.
He created that iteration of the Thunderbolts.
Right, but
That were a bunch of villains and is the con. But if they're not doing that story, if they're taking it from when the Thunderbolts were led by Hawkeye or led by Winter Soldier as a team of of characters looking for redemption,
then you bring in that creator. That's what I'm saying, is that Marvel knows these things. So if you're going to make a change, consult the person who originally wrote it and say, hey, we're thinking about making this change. What do you think this does to the story?
Right, but when you're looking at a property like this, the custodian for the property are the editors and the company that owns it. The writers come in, they tell one part of the story, and then they move on. And it's weird being a writer, and I'm saying that I don't necessarily agree. When you're doing something as personal and is connected to the writer as the Sandman, absolutely. And when that is a possibility, you do that. But when you have something like the Thunderbolts that have been changed so much, and you have Kurt Busiek who did this run on them, and you've got 17 other people who have done runs on them, then you really just try to focus on how Marvel looks at the Thunderbolts and how they want to use that in the MCU rather than trying to adapt a certain story.
The problem with that is that's never what they do. It's never what they do. They say, we're going to make a Thunderbolts movie.
Uh-huh.
And they throw the Thunderbolts on screen, and they don't bother using any stories from the Thunderbolts. Ever.
Right.
And they don't come to you and say, we're creating a new Thunderbolt story here. This is not at all related to any Thunderbolts comic that's ever existed. They trade on the name and the clout of the team that we've all read about to tell whatever story they want to tell anyway, which they could just as easily replace it with any other team they want. So that's kind of where my gripe comes in, where I say, don't call it the Thunderbolts. Call it Marvel Redemption. Create something new, the MCU's greatest somethings, and make a movie. And that, to me, is doing that, is looking at, these are the stories we want to tell, and these are the characters we think are best to tell them with. Sure, it's a Thunderbolts-esque team, or it's a Thunderbolts-esque concept. Here we go.
Well, I don't know. I think you can still pull the idea of a team with. I mean, again, I think it's different between a character and a team. I think the concept for the team, yeah. So where by saying that, we're going to do a Thunderbolts movie, it doesn't mean that they're trying to do anything other than a team with members of the Thunderbolts. They're not trying to do X, Y, Z. It's like the latest Batman movie. They didn't come out and say, we're adapting The Long Halloween. We pulled elements from there. We pulled elements from this other place too. Mm-hmm. Elements from Hush.
Right, but again, it would be different if they were doing a Justice League movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, Justice League, it's like what the Justice League is. Well, it's got to be those 7 heroes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So if you want to do a Thunderbolts movie, but you don't want to tell a Thunderbolts story, call it Marvel's Team Red.
But Marvel owns the name Thunderbolts.
But then make a Thunderbolts movie. There's plenty of good Thunderbolts stories that you can tell, and you can bring in.
Yes.
You could bring in. You could bring in again. This is what I mean. If you're going to bring in, if you're going to do a team, or you're going to do a story, or you're going to do anything in the cinematic world, bring in the people who intimately know these characters, and not just some Hollywood writer. Here's what I would do, where I marvel, and this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do a Thunderbolts movie, let Kurt Busiek take the first pass at the script, then bring in a Hollywood writer to fix it and turn it into more of a movie. That, to me, is being more true to the characters and being more true to the context of the team as it was created, like they're doing with Sandman, to bring it back around to Sandman. Neil Gaiman wrote Sandman. They had a showrunner for the show who consulted with Neil Gaiman, and they worked together to put the new scripts together.
Yeah.
So...
But okay. If they're trying to do a Thunderbolts movie and they're making the movie based on the first Thunderbolts arc written by Kurt Busiek,
mm-hmm.
is that not, in a sense, the first draft of the movie?
I'm saying have him write the story as a movie script. Like, it is the first draft. It's the source material. But have him come back, take his story, reformat it. There are things that won't work in movies that work in comic books. There are things that don't work in comic books that would work in movies that he could do that he couldn't do in the book.
Right.
So take your pass at it. It's 20 years later or whatever. I don't even remember what year Thunderbolts first debuted.
Would have been in the 90s. Because it was after Heroes Reborn with Rob Liefeld doing the refrigerator door Captain America.
97. Right. So it's 25 years later? So... What would he change now if you were writing it now? He can do those things. It's like in Sandman, Neil Gaiman, they talk about the character of Lucien in the Sandman movie or Sandman show is going to be played by a black woman. Well, in the book, it was a dude. Well, Neil Gaiman is saying, I think it's more interesting if it's a black woman. And if I were writing it now, that's how I would have written it. Because it's more interesting. But at the time, it wasn't part of my lexicon. It's Joanna Constantine instead of John Constantine, which is a big hang-up for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think she's supposed to be isn't she supposed to be an ancestor, though?
Yeah. And in other parts of the book, she comes up as his mother, grandmother, something to that effect. Right. But he goes, isn't it more interesting if it's Joanna than John? Like, from a storytelling standpoint, isn't that a mistake I made?
No.
Like, it seems way more interesting. Like, and this is what Neil Gaiman is saying, it seems more interesting. It's... Give these writers a chance to tell the story again for the screen, and then partner them with people who could take those stories and turn them into good movies.
I don't know. I think once you put a story out there, you've made a deal with the audience. So if you're adapting it, then coming back and making the changes, I don't know. I think Sandman is the exception because I think Neil Gaiman is so connected to these characters, to this iteration. But I mean, he didn't create. He created more this Sandman, but there was a Sandman before that, Wesley Dodds.
Right, and I can see that argument in this side of it, right? That it is different because of this very specific situation, right?
Yeah.
And I can also see where my argument could go awry because it did for Neil Gaiman in American Gods.
Yeah.
Right? He was involved in the first season and wasn't involved after that, and the show went off the rails.
Yeah.
So, like, I can 100% see where it could go awry, but I I just think this is a much stronger place to come from if you're going to tell these stories than just, but we're going to hire Joe Blow Hollywood writer and hope that they understand what these characters are and what they mean to people and to tell the story we want to tell.
And Marvel did that. They brought in Ed Brubaker when they were doing the Winter Soldier story. And they were
super strong movies.
Yeah. So when there is a situation that makes sense, they do that. But if you're doing the Thunderbolts and you're not doing a specific story arc, but you own the name Thunderbolts, you own the brand, the logo, everything, I don't see a problem with them doing it.
See, but that's like saying I own the website ijabroni.com.
Okay.
And that I should, and that because I own it, I can do whatever I want with it.
You can't.
Like, I can, but the word jabroni has a very specific connotation that if I ignore and I don't recognize what that means to people or what that stands for, I'm wasting my time and energy, and I'm doing a bad job of it.
You're wasting your time, and you're not wasting your time and energy. You are doing the website how you wanted to. Now, at that point, people have a choice to either go to your site or not go to your site.
Right.
You know, when I sat down to write Shadowhawk, Jim was there. Jim approved the stories, but he let me tell the story I wanted to tell. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to build a new group of people around him. I had ideas to do. I wanted to bring back the original Shadowhawk.
But you had to pay homage and you had to respect what Shadowhawk was, what it meant to people, and you had to do it all in that it was approved by Jim.
Yes. But when I did Sinbad, I got to do whatever I wanted. Because
I can't imagine you had to ask the comedian.
No. Nope.
I mean, maybe it's different with, and this is something that maybe we could break down later on, Dan. We can both do some research and figure it out. Sinbad is a mythological character that's been around for millennia, right? Mm-hmm. I've been alive longer than the Thunderbolts.
Yes.
And maybe that's the difference in this, right? Like, I don't know that I would have the same feeling about this coming from a Superman movie, right? Unless they come out and say we're doing the death of Superman, and I would say you need to bring in Dan Jurgens, right? Like, that's how I would put it. Maybe there's a difference there because of that, and this is something we can spend more time on later. I know you wanted to get to the boys, and we've talked so long. We really don't have time for 4 whole episodes. But
in the defense that comic books are today's myths. Many people have said that. And B, isn't Dan Jurgens' input already on the printed page? Dan has told his story his way. It's right there for them to follow or go different from. What is he going to bring in?
This is where we disagree. I think they can do whatever they want and it'll be terrible. But as I said earlier, I generally hate these things. So,
all right, we're going to wrap this up here because I do want to talk a few minutes on the boys. So we'll take one more commercial break. When we come back, thank you, Kyle, for joining us. We will talk about the first beginning of the season, the boys, right after this. Be right back.
Are you a comic creator? Are you a publisher? Do you make a comic book product? Do you own a retail store? Do you do something I haven't thought of? Who are you and what do you do? Let us know by advertising on The Experience and invite our viewers to patronize your product. Message the EXP on social media or email us _EXP@yahoo.com for more details.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome everybody, it's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I'm your host, Henry Copeland. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in the minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box?
What's in the box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit that like and subscribe buttons, whichever service you're on. If you don't hit that bell, then you won't get notified that another show's coming up. This week we will be talking tomorrow about Miss Marvel. On Thursday we'll be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, getting caught up on everything. We're going to talk just now about The Boys. I'm not going to get much into spoilers because I don't have much time. So there's some general thoughts I want to give over the first 4 episodes of The Boys. And my reaction to the show being renewed for a 4th season. Now, a lot of people are talking about, of course, that first 10, 12 minutes of episode 1, which is brutal, over the top, and my first reaction was they didn't need to go there. They didn't need that. It was completely unnecessary. And then I thought about it. Now, I had watched all of season 1 when it came out. I had started season 2 and lost it, and ended up coming back and watching season 2 just about a week or 2 before season 3 debuted. So when I turned it on, how brutal the show was still well in my mind. I forget how long it had been for a lot of people. When was the last time they saw The Boys? So in a lot of ways, that opening, it established the new status quo. You know, Huey's working with Victoria, trying to bring down Soups, but in the right way. Butcher and the female or Kamiko and Frenchie are taken down, are kind of the weapons of the thing, but they're doing it by the book. Mallory's taking care of the kid. It's all status quo. Homelander is completely got his tail between his legs. I mean, it reestablishes that. But then we needed to know that this is still an extreme show. So they have that extreme moment. And they did it in such a way that didn't change the status quo that we had just got, but rather reinforced it. You know, Butcher didn't kill the guy. Butcher took him in. He did what he was supposed to do. You know, so it was a well-planned scene. Now, I have questions pertaining to what we saw and what the act was happening before things went awry. So many questions. So many questions. But that aside, what the show has interestingly has done is it basically shows this mirror growth between Butcher and Homelander as they get more and more off the deep end. The difference is they're also humanizing Butcher a bit. You're getting moments where you realize that a lot of what he's doing now is because he has absolutely nothing left to lose. He's going for the big finale. And at the end of episode 4, which just aired on Friday, we see the whole idea is that they're going to Russia to get a weapon that could stop Homelander. They don't know what that weapon is, but it supposedly killed Soldier Boy, who was probably the only other Highlander or Homelander level hero out there. You know, if you can kill Captain America, you can kill Superman, I guess is the idea. What they discover, and we see the lengths that both Butcher and Huey are willing to go, but for different reasons. Butcher has lost everything and wants revenge, wants to take it back. Huey has been emasculated and wants that power back. He thought he was getting it by working for Victoria. He originally thought he was getting it by working with Butcher. And when given the opportunity to actually have that, he jumped on it to get that power back. So it's interesting to see this parallel path that's happening. But by the time we get to the end of episode 4, it feels like we're on a countdown to the point of no return. We're at the point of no return. Homelander's gone too far. Butcher's gone too far. People are seriously hurt. There's they have something that might be able to take out Homelander, but they have no control over it. It felt like they were building up to a cataclysmic finale. And then it was announced there was a 4th season coming. And as soon as that announcement came out, my thought was, well, it can't be that cataclysmic. You know, Butcher and Homelander aren't going to end up killing each other. Or, you know, there's certain things, some semblance of the show has to be left at the end of the season, where it didn't necessarily have to be at the end of season 3. Or, you know, if they were just doing 3 seasons, I mean, they literally could have had Homelander blow up the world. There was no no checks, no reining in. They could have done anything they wanted. And then they announced that, nope, season 4. Well, season 4 means there has to be at least enough of the show to keep fans coming back. So it's an interesting and disappointing turn. Yeah, Jay says, I've read the showrunners have planned for at least 5 seasons. I could see that. But it's just the rapid succession of things that Homelander is doing, putting himself further and further out there. I have a hard time seeing a way to chasten him back down to make a season 4 and even a season 5 viable, because he's just indiscriminately killing. He's just taking people out. Doesn't matter. So something has to change. Something has to stop him. And can you stop him and pull him back down? Is that possible? So that's why I'm disappointed that they announced it. I'm not disappointed they're doing a 4th season. It's a good show. And I'm happy to get more. But I know the feeling I had after episode 4 of, oh my God, this is going to blow up big. Where now it's like, okay, let's see where they go. My enthusiasm for it was greatly diminished by finding out that they're going to have to at least leave enough intact to make a 4th season. So that may be a weird complaint. I may be alone on that. I've even talked to somebody who has seen the whole series, or the whole season, and he says, oh no, big ending, it's going to be huge. Still kind of disappointed. So, all right, folks, thanks for tuning in. The show is kind of all over the place. I'm still getting better. Stick around tonight. I don't know if Amani's back, but there will be Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen. And then Kyle and Jay will be back for in-stores this week. I'm not up yet for doing that show yet. But I will be back tomorrow to talk Miss Marvel. Episode 2 drops late tonight, so I will watch it beforehand. So we'll talk the first episode in the first half of the show and then spoilers on the second one. Stick around. Please, like I said, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Hit that notify bell. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitch, do what you do over there because it really helps us out and I appreciate it. Thank you again for tuning in. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Good night.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.